The Wally Show podcast is our daily radio show heard live through the WayFM app each morning and hosted by Wally, Gavin, and me, Betty Rock. For more fun, be sure to connect with us at wayfm.com/Wally.
The Wally Show podcast is brought to you by Colorado Christian University Online, where you can earn a degree online just like Betty Rock. You can learn more at ccu.edu/Wally.
Uplifting WayFM.
Here's what's going on today.
The 2-day Amazon Prime Day event is over. Did y'all get anything?
Yeah, some hair gel. It was on sale. That's pretty good. I didn't go crazy. My wife got a ultraviolet teeth whitening thing. I think you plug it into your phone actually. And you put it in your mouth. But she got it was a crazy deal. It was $50 from $180.
Oh, okay.
So that was a good deal.
Okay. Well, here's what most people took advantage of with all the Prime deals. The top selling products. I think that the last one, the one that's the most popular, is going to surprise you.
Okay.
But what made the list? Liquid IV hydration packs.
That stuff's so expensive.
I know, but maybe there was a good deal.
Because you had those in our trip to Africa, and my wife was like, oh, I really like that. She went to buy them at the grocery store, and they were, for 6 of them, were $9. 6 packets.
It's ridiculous.
And so, they had a good deal on them.
Yeah. Amazon Fire Sticks. Those were also a top seller. But then coming in at number 1, do you want to guess what the number 1 product selling?
You said it's surprising, so it's not like
Very
a TV or like a hand mixer or some of the usual suspects.
It's not an electronic.
It's not an electronic. No? Oh, wow. A book. Is it a book? Did a book come in number 1?
A waterbed?
Nice.
No, the number 1 thing was Temptation cat treats.
What?
Treats for cats.
No.
Top number 1 product that they sold. Yeah.
You know that even Amazon has to be looking at this today, going through the numbers. Come on, Jenkins, crunch the numbers for me. Tell me what came in number 1. How many Fire Sticks did we sell? Well, we did pretty well on the Fire Sticks. He sounds more like this.
Yeah.
Well, sir, we did pretty good on the Fire Sticks, but, coming in at number 1 were cat treats. And Bezos loses his mind.
Yep.
What do you mean cat treats were number 1?
I don't know, but it is the truth. The average total we spent on orders was $150.
Wow.
And women shoppers were the ones who took advantage way more than men shoppers. It was 80 to 20% ratio.
Oh, wow. I got in really last minute with a 3-pack of smart switches for my home that I can change out light switches to.
Oh, there you go.
And they weren't expensive, so it's like, oh, okay, I'll do that.
Well, you definitely fit in this category. They said, to get even more specific, senior citizens were the biggest buyers.
I'm not a senior citizen.
So well done.
I'm still paying full price at the rec center, okay? in a month when that changes.
I was going to say.
I know, I'll get a discount here in a month, which is really horrible. Okay, thanks for reminding me of that. Uplifting WayFM. This is the Wally Show. And, there are times when you are kind of stuck and you're feeling like, I don't know, this is not where I want to be. And you can miss the moment. And I've spent a whole lot of my life like that, always looking for the next thing, thinking I should be over here doing this, and missing where I'm at right now. And I'm not alone, apparently.
Yeah, so Rainn Wilson, he's an actor mainly known as Dwight Schrute from The Office. But he's known for his comedy, but he even admitted recently in an interview that when he was on The Office, he didn't appreciate it for what it was because he wanted to be a movie star, not a TV star. But he didn't realize at the time that The Office was going to blow up so big and be such a popular TV show. So now looking back, he sees how he wishes he would have, because now the show is over with. He wishes now that he would have appreciated it more for what it was, because now he's so thankful for it.
I wish, because I love radio. I've done this my whole life. I love doing what we get to do every day. But I've been at multiple stations throughout the years, and one of my jobs was at Radio Disney. And I really wish I had enjoyed the moment there. I was still young, I was still driven, and I was fighting to do things right and everything. And I was trying to progress and move forward and stuff and make a bunch of money. And I didn't just enjoy that for what it was. And it was a great time. I still have kids now, like Mark from Irvine, who listens to this show. He'll hit me up, and he used to listen as a kid to Radio Disney. And I've had other kids that I've come across that listen, and it what mattered to them, you know?
Yeah,
And it's
but
like,
your perspective back then wasn't appreciative.
No, I was wasting my career, and I should be over here, you know, at this shock jock place instead of doing this. And I really missed the joy in the job at the time, you know? And so maybe that's your case too. Like, what was that thing that you didn't appreciate at the time, but now looking back on it, like Rainn Wilson or even me, like you're like, I'm thankful for that time. I wish I had maybe done it better, but I am thankful for that because it was provision for me. And that job trained me to come do this job, honestly. Working clean and having boundaries and stuff taught me to be able to come here and do this, you know. So what's yours? 855-33-WAY-FM. That's 855-33-WAY-FM. That thing you didn't appreciate at the time, but now you're thankful for. Is there anything, Tom, that you've had in your life that you didn't appreciate at the time, but you're really thankful for now?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So my dad had us work when we were very, very young. I started working at a gas station when I was 9.5.
Whoa.
And I always felt like all of my friends are out playing. But I'll tell you one thing. Now that I'm 61 years old, I appreciate the start because it instilled work ethic in me, and I am very proud of my childhood.
Oh, absolutely, man. I worked with my dad at his company from the time I was like 9 years old, too. I don't think they had child labor laws back then. But no, my dad was trying to instill in me a good work ethic and the fact that if you want something, you have to actually work for it.
And I'll tell you, it wasn't just me. It was there's 5 of us all together, and every one of us worked in the gas station, and now each one of us, did well in our adult life because of it.
I haven't made my daughter work as hard as I did, and maybe that's a mistake on my part, honestly. I probably should have. She has a crazy good work ethic. Like, when she's at a job, she does awesome, and she excels.
Thank goodness for you. That means she won't end up under your roof again.
I didn't say that. There are signs pointing that direction.
Hey, listen, one way to look at that is that she grew up watching how well you worked and your work ethic, and a lot of times the best sermon is the one that you see, not the one that you hear.
That's very true. That's very true. Well, Tom, we appreciate you being on the show with us today. Thank you.
You're welcome.
What's yours, Andreen?
Yeah, my mom was very strict with us, and she demanded that we respect elders, and we had a good work ethic, too. I started working when I was 10, babysitting. I have grown up wanting to do better than what we had as kids, and I went to school at 35, and now I'm an RN. If I didn't have that, you got to make good grades, all the things she required, I probably would have never been a nurse, which was always my dream.
And I think that's a good reminder for a lot of kids, because I know personally when I was in school, I didn't listen. I didn't want to make the good grades. I just didn't try hard enough. Like, I could have done it. I had the possibility. I just didn't try.
See, and that's the curse of being cute, though. Like, because you think, well, I don't need to.
I didn't have that.
Oh, that's too funny, Andreen. Thanks for being on the show with us today.
You're very welcome.
It's easy to let the fear of the unknown keep us from doing something that is good for us. But going back to school might not be quite what you think.
Yeah, one of my biggest fears going back to school was I'd have to watch a ton of online lectures, and I kind of have a problem staying awake during stuff like that. But it was so different than I had imagined, and way better.
Yeah, for sure. I thought I was going to have to take a bunch of tests, which I am not a fan of. But instead, I was able to write papers, which for me was way better.
Plus, you have the flexibility to work in school around your work and life schedule. Another big fear I had is, what if I don't understand something? What do I do?
Yeah, CCU, they foster community with your classmates, and they are a great resource. And Colorado Christian University has very responsive online professors who are there to help you, so you are never alone as an online student at CCU.
Learn more about how you can pursue your passion and find your calling with Colorado Christian University at ccu.edu. Colorado Christian University is a nonprofit impact partner committed to cultivating the mind without compromising the heart.
Uplifting Way FM.
Here's what's going on today.
So there is a faith-based movie that's at the center of a surprising controversy, and we've been giving away tickets to it all week long. It's called The Sound of Freedom, starring Jim Caviezel. He's the guy that played Jesus from The Passion of the Christ. And it's a movie based on a true story of Tim Ballard. He was a Homeland Security agent who is credited with saving countless children, largely outside the U.S., from traffickers. I mean, trafficking is a huge problem in our society, and it's a very tough subject to depict in a faith-based movie because you have to show what's going on to some degree to understand it. So that's the difficulty of art and stuff. But you would think that it's, Christians have a problem with this movie because of that. And from what I've heard, they have done a really expert job at navigating that. The Sound of Freedom is doing well. It's the third most popular country in the nation right now, behind Indiana Jones.
Wow.
So just beat out by Indiana Jones. So why is there a problem with this? Who could possibly be upset with a movie based on a true story of a guy saving kids from being trafficked? Well, of course, the movie is being used as a political tool to further divide us when trafficking should be one of the things that I think we as Republicans and Democrats could actually both agree on is bad.
Yeah.
You would think we could go, hey, let's all support something like this because it's bad, you know, but not the case. Some critics and what they're saying about the movie contend that it's a recruiting tool for the far right. Are you kidding me? You cannot get out of the way of your own agenda long enough to see that, like, this is a problem in our society that needs to be addressed. And so you're saying that a lot of your left-wing ideology that's directly targeted our kids is not recruiting, you know, to somehow make you feel better about your adult brokenness? That's hypocritical, man. Rolling Stone, a critic for the film, said it's a superhero movie for dads with brainworms. The Guardian said it's a movie that is QAnon adjacent.
Oh.
That is just the height of irresponsibility to take something that, again, the government recognizes as a huge problem and then to align it to QAnon. And the reason they did that was just to muddy it, to murky it, and to make it seem salacious and like it's a problem. They say that the plot of the film inflames ingrained QAnon conspiracies that massively overinflate the statistical realities of child trafficking. But here's the thing. The government knows this is a huge problem. They have said that it is one of the most lucrative parts of the underbelly of our society and the fastest growing crime that is happening today. And so it is a problem. And so for me, like on a personal level, I'm done catering to loud, delusional factions of our society. And the best way to take them on, I do believe, is not to picket, it's not to argue or indulge their delusions, but rather to dismiss and not engage in the lunacy. So how do you do that? You support things that have godly values, and you do not support the things that are contrary to the Word of God. So how does this play out? Well, you see Disney losing hundreds of millions of dollars when they're creating woke films that are targeting your kids, and they're putting out content that's counter to the Word of God. They lose money. Eventually, after losing enough money, they will, because they're a for-profit company, have to change direction.
Yeah, money speaks.
Absolutely, especially in that world. So when we support godly things like the movie Sound of Freedom, and it has success, and other groups watch the things that are contrary to the Word of God fail, I feel like it's that verse in Romans. It says, if your enemy is hungry, give him food to eat. If he's you give him food to eat. If he's thirsty, give him drink. And in doing this, you will heap burning coals on his head, and the Lord will reward you. Like, it'll drive them nuts, and they will stand bewildered by it, and they can't fathom how this plan that they have isn't working, and how this other thing they don't get is working. And it's like, you don't have to write negative comments online. You don't have to make picket signs. You don't have to go out and argue with people. You just support the things of God, and that will do the work for you, and that's what will rise, because ultimately money is what rises the tide here. Uplifting Way FM, this is the Wally Show, and sometimes you get into something and you don't know the full extent of it. Like, I wanted to start turning bowls years ago on a lathe. My wife and I had seen this. We bought a lathe, a tiny little lathe, and then like, oh, wow, okay, you need chisels. Oh, those are a couple $100. Okay, you need a way to sharpen them. Here's a grinder, and then here's this thing. And before you know it, you're like, oh, wow, I'm all in. And it was more than I was thinking. Well, I found this article the other day on the same way that happened to me. People were looking at Christianity. And they actually had an article on the things I wish I knew before becoming a Christian. Not that it would dissuade them from making that decision still, but just to give them a better view of the landscape as they walked into it.
Well, maybe that's a good thing. I mean, you want to know what you're getting into.
Well, I do. And one of the things that really landed with me, which is this is something I've actually felt for years, is one of the things they wish they knew about becoming a Christian was it's hard. And you go, well, why is it hard? Well, because faith is counter to everything inside of you. Faith is about giving up your control to God, and that doesn't sit well with most of us. Faith is about loving people that hate you. That doesn't sit well with most of us. Faith is counterintuitive, and when you truly want to live out your faith and you want to try to aspire to be as Christ-like as possible, it's not easy, you know? Trust me, it's not easy loving people that hate you, you know? And so that was one of the things that they had on this list, which I thought was really, really astute. Again, would it have dissuaded me from becoming a believer? No, but I think it gives you a better, more accurate view of what you're in for versus a lot of people think it's, you know, kittens and cuddles when you get saved and all your problems disappear.
Right, like he can get you out of things and life becomes easier, and if anything, it's the opposite.
Yeah, because they don't tell you about the verse when they're going through the salvation plan. They tell you about John 3:16, but they don't tell you about the one where Jesus says, oh, hey, by the way, you're going to have problems in this world. And that's like a promise he made. Yeah, there's going to be some hard things, but there's also a promise with it that says, hey, relax. I've overcome the problems of this world. I'm with you. But it doesn't say that we go around all these problems. We have to go through them, you know. So that was one thing that landed with me from this article. And so is there something like that for you? 855-33-WAY-FM. We love your perspective. Love having you on the show with us. What is that thing that maybe you wish you had known about becoming a Christian before you became one? Something you just didn't know. And you're like, this would have been nice to know. 855-33-WAY-FM. We'll see if what you're feeling landed on this list as well. 855-33-WAY-FM. What is something you wish you had known?
Well, you get this whole new family, and when you get that whole new family, you also get a whole new family that's just as dysfunctional as that family that you live with.
Oh, absolutely, man. Like the analogy of a church being a hospital for broken people is so on point.
Yeah. And they really can put the fun in dysfunctional.
Yeah.
Desiree, it sounds like you're speaking from experience. How have you seen this play out?
You know, we're all just different, and we all come with our own set of issues and our own set of problems, and sometimes those problems come into the church.
And I think we've seen this a lot when people leave churches. Like they're constantly going to a church, leaving it because something was said or something was done that they didn't agree with. But the thing is you're just going to go from one mess to the next because all churches are made of sinners. And so at some point, you got to stick with something because you're never going to find the perfect church.
Our pastor says, if you're looking for the perfect church, please do not join us because we are not perfect. And I have always said, people always say the grass is greener on the other side of the fence. The only difference between your fence and my fence is that I know where my cow piles are.
Right. So, Billie Jean, what is the thing you wish you had known?
I wish I had known that the people who encourage us and the Christians who encourage us and call us into a relationship with Christ and are so encouraging that once you're in that relationship with Christ, if you struggle with sin, depression, anxiety, some of the Christians are the people I least want to go to because instead of encouraging me and embracing me where I'm at and giving me God's love, they become churchy rather than Christ-like and start throwing Bible verses at me trying to fix me.
Yeah, that's tough because a lot of times we want to modify behavior. And sometimes we think, too, like, well, if you just pray hard enough, then everything will be okay. And that's just not reality.
And how's that working in your life?
Yeah, exactly.
I finally found a church like your previous caller that their byline is Imperfectly Church. And they're very supportive and encouraging. And my walk with Christ goes further because I'm being supported and encouraged rather than preached at.
What is that thing you wish you knew about becoming a Christian before you became a Christian?
Hey, Wally. I've always kind of been that need to have an answer person, and that kind of goes with control, I think. But my husband took his life in February, and he was a retired police officer, and I knew he struggled with a lot. And I felt like I always had to be one step or two steps ahead of him to try and know what he was struggling with. So I was looking for that intuitive thing to know, right? To know ahead of time. And ultimately, he lost his fight with that, but I know he's at peace. You know, he's in heaven.
That's so hard, giving up control when you don't see the plan. You know, God sees the big picture and all the moving parts, and we see this tiny little sliver of it. And that's really hard. And I'm sure, like, with you losing your husband in that manner, there are a lot of questions, a lot of, you know, problems that you have with that, and like, why and how could this be a plan in this, God? And that's where the hard part of faith comes in, and it's like trusting that God will redeem even the worst things in our life for good.
I know that God is the guy that's in control. You know, it's not always what we want to see or hear, but there's always a reason for it, and he'll bring us through it. And I can't tell you how important listening to your show has been in my healing. So thank you so much. And also, when you're doing your fundraising events, I sponsored myself, and then I called back and did one in his memory. So he's still giving.
Oh, wow. That's amazing, Kim. Thank you so much. In the midst of your pain, still giving, you know, and making sure that this is here because you know it was good for you, but it's also good for other people, too. So that's next level.
So many
we appreciate
people.
you.
I have spread the word so much.
You're the best. You're too kind, Kim. I'm so glad I got to talk to you today. Thank you.
Me too. Thank you for picking me.
Uplifting Way FM.
News can be a little heavy, so we like to do news-ish. Here's Gavin.
Back at the beginning of the year, people were watching a simple football game between the Cincinnati Bengals and the Buffalo Bills, and then they witnessed a normal play where Buffalo Bill Damar Hamlin made a tackle, got back up, and then fell back down. And a lot of people were in a hush. We didn't know what was going on. We later found out that he had gone into cardiac arrest due to the tackle kind of hitting him in the chest. And so that was terrifying. A lot of people were afraid, but thanks to the timely response of the Bills medical staff, he was taken care of in the moment, got into a hospital, and he's made an amazing recovery since then. And that was actually, while it was a scary moment, it was a really cool twist on seeing a lot of people come together and even hearing people on, you know, ESPN praying for the situation.
I've heard it all day, like thoughts and prayers. I've heard the Buffalo Bills organization say that we believe in prayer. And maybe this is not the right thing to do, but it's just on my heart that I want to pray for Damar Hamlin right now. I'm going to do it out loud. I'm going to close my eyes. I'm going to bow my head, and I'm just going to pray for him. God, we come to you in these moments that we don't understand, that are hard. Because
this guy goes on, Dan goes on to do this really great, straight up prayer, not a wishy-washy thing. It was like, man, that was a good moment. And it turned a lot of people's eyes towards God in that, which I think was super cool.
Absolutely. So if you then fast forward to this week's ESPYs, which is like the sports version of the Grammys or Emmys, and you actually have this visibly emotional Damar Hamlin walking out on stage and presenting the Pat Tillman Award for service within the sports world to the Buffalo Bills training staff. And so that was cool. And with any award, the people get a moment to give an acceptance speech. And I thought that what one of the Bills medical staff members said during his acceptance speech was really powerful as well.
By the grace of God and divine intervention, we had the best outcome we could have prayed for or imagined. The response to Damar's injury was able to bring our nation together for a moment and show the world the power of prayer. Let's remember that feeling of unity and use it to make sure we can save the next life too.
Wow, that's pretty crazy. And that's cool. Just one of the medical staff there, not a preacher, you know, just normal people that have faith and want to take a moment to highlight it into the world. I love that.
Yeah, and I think just having that stage where a lot of people do watch that, and again, it's been a while since the moment happened, so I think maybe there are people who have forgotten what happened, but to get another hit on that idea of prayer and community on a platform that's not always known for presenting God and presenting the gospel, I think is really good for the world to see us in that right.
Yeah, because you expect it here. We have our prayer wall. We talk about prayer every day in some fashion, you know, and it's an integral part of our lives, and it's so great. But then when you see it in the world where it necessarily wouldn't be, other than like a quick, you know, give us a victory today, Lord, you know, kind of thing normally, but to see real, honest, heartfelt praying going on for somebody is powerful. And so there you go. That's awesome, Gavin. Thank you.
It's Match! Match-a-Mania.
Uplifting Way FM. This is the Wally Show. We have a chance for you to win 2 tickets to the Sound of Freedom movie starring Jim Caviezel. This movie's being talked about a bunch, and it's something that you might want to go see, and you can win a pair of tickets. Way we do this is Match-a-Mania is we have you play along with us, and one of the members of the show is also playing, and so you're going to get a list, and you try to get an answer on the list. If you get an answer that shows up on this list, you get 1 point. If you happen to match the person that you're playing with, you get 2 points. If you get the number 1 answer, you get 3 points, okay? Here's the deal, though. You have to score 4 points, and you only get 3 questions.
Oh, boy.
So you're going to have to match somebody or come in number 1 or something at some point in time to win. So let's do a round here. Gavin, you will be playing the part of our contestant.
Okay, cool.
Welcome. Where are you from, Gavin?
I'm from Nashville, Tennessee.
Okay, it's really good to have you here. What do you like to do in your spare time?
Oh, I golf too much, and my wife loves that I do it.
Fantastic. You'll be taking on a lady who loves doing her makeup during the show. Her name is Betty Rock, the lovely and talented Miss Betty Rock. Okay, so now, match the question. Don't shout out your answers. Here we go.
B.
Name something you rent or hire for a wedding.
Oh,
seems pretty easy. You know, like we've all seen wedding shows. Gavin, you've been married. So Betty Rock, do you have your answer
Yes.
down? Okay. So Gavin, what do you say? Name something you rent or hire for a wedding.
Okay, I'm just going to go with what I hope is the easiest and most obvious answer.
Okay.
In photographer.
Photographer.
You hire the photographer.
Photographer. Okay.
They take the pictures.
Lady Rock, what did you say?
DJ.
Oh, that's a good one, too.
That is a good one. Okay, so here's the deal. Neither of you got the number 1 answer.
Oh, really?
So you would have gotten 3 points had you said caterer.
Sure.
Caterer.
Sure.
Okay. Music DJ.
Number 2.
Number 2, Betty
Well done.
Rock.
Well
Nicely
done.
But Gavin, you did get 1 point for the number 4 answer,
Okay,
photographer.
good.
Okay, so you would have 1 point, and you have 2 more questions to go. That's how the game works. You are a little behind.
So I would need to match somebody on one of the last 2 questions. Oh, that would be tough.
Exactly. So this game is not as easy as it sounds. So if you want to play and you want those tickets to the movie Sound of Freedom, right now, 855-33-WAY-FM is the number. That's 855-33-WAY-FM.
It's Match-a-Mania.
Uplifting Way FM. This is the Wally Show. Elizabeth, welcome to Match-a-Mania, and you're going to be playing along with Betty Rock. Betty Rock can help you get the necessary points. I'm going to give you guys a list. You're each going to give us an answer, and then if you get an answer that is on the list, you get 1 point. If you match with Betty Rock, you get 2 points, and if you get the number 1 answer, you get 3 points. Now, here's the rub. You only get 3 questions, but you need 4 points. So here we go. Question number 1. Name something you might see in an old Western saloon. Betty Rock grew up watching Westerns with her dad, so she probably has a good handle on this.
Mm-hmm.
Elizabeth, are you thinking about this right now?
Yeah,
Okay.
a piano.
A piano. Okay, Betty Rock, what did you say?
I said piano.
No, you did not.
Yes, because you always see some guy playing piano.
Okay.
Always.
I can tell you this. Neither one of you got the number 1 answer. You would think
but
it would be.
that's still okay, because
Okay.
if we matched.
The
so
number
that's
1
good.
answer, well, if you're on the list,
Oh.
the number 1 answer is spittoon.
What?
A spittoon, the thing they spit in.
Oh.
Yeah, okay.
Oh.
But I will say here's some good news. Coming in at number 6 was piano and a match. That means you have 2 points, so you are well on your way to winning this thing. Here we go. Name something that makes people blink. Name something that makes people blink. Betty Rock, get your answer down. Do you have it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what do you say, Elizabeth?
Wind.
Wind. Okay, wind. Lady Rock, what did you say?
I said dust.
Dust. Lady Rock, you're on fire today. Number 3 answer for you.
All right.
But good news, Elizabeth, you got the number 5 answer, which was wind.
Oh,
So
all
that is
right.
1 point. That means you have a total of 3 points. You only need 1 more point. You have to get an answer on this list, and you can win this game right now, Elizabeth. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Name a television show that's on only once a year. Okay? Thinking. Betty Rock doing a thinking face. I thought this was easier. Betty Rock, do you have it?
Yes.
Okay. Elizabeth, what do you say?
Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade.
Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. Okay, only need 1 point. Betty Rock, what did you say?
I should have thought of that.
What did you
but
say?
I did not. I said American Idol.
American Idol is not on once a year. It's on
not?
once a week.
Oh, I thought you meant like a season.
No.
Okay, well, that really
I
wasn't
meant things
my
like
fault.
the number one answer, like Super Bowl.
Well, you weren't specific.
I was not clear. The Miss America pageant, the Academy Awards, the Jerry Lewis Telethon, the Emmys, New Year's Eve, the World Series.
Okay, when you say it all like that, it makes a lot of sense.
Have I left anything out? Have I left anything? Did I leave one of these out, Elizabeth?
Not that I can think of. I don't watch TV, though.
Well, the last answer squeaking in there was the Thanksgiving Day Parade! Woo! Nicely done. You got in there by the skin of your teeth, like with the last question, and that means you are a winner today. Congratulations, Elizabeth. You're picking up 2 tickets to the Sound of Freedom movie starring Jim Caviezel.
I can't wait to see it either. My mother and brother just went to see it last weekend.
Oh, good. And you're going to go for free so you can have extra popcorn. Well, Elizabeth, thanks for being on the show with us today.
Thank you.
Uplifting Way FM, this is the Wally Show, and I speak for a living, and there are times when I say things that sound weird or bizarre or slightly uneducated. And Betty Rock tends to capitalize on all those moments because she is our audio ninja.
Yeah, so when you say something kind of crazy or could be taken out of turn, I like to take those moments, single them out, and put them into a, here's how Betty hears the show.
Yeah, as any good friend would. Right. Like, use your weaknesses for their gain. So here we go. This is how Betty hears the show. Now, I wasn't close to death. I'm not being overly dramatic. I'm not being dramatic. Because I could see, like, you're there and the lady at the coffee thing makes your coffee wrong. You got no choice. You got to tase that lady. I have a pull in my buttocks that has happened from pickleball. I am a marginalized section of society.
Okay.
And you guys now are going to have to tiptoe around all of my feelings to look at that and to even have that conversation with your kids about what death in the future looks like. So there you go. It's a lot of fun. But he's just laughing at me. I want a relationship that beautiful with my UPS guy. Like,
he knows his
great
first
is that?
name.
Yeah, we're going to a cold place, so I don't have to be bikini ready, which is good. Who knew oatmeal was so good for you, you know?
Many people.
Well, I don't know. Yeah. Oh, Lady Rock, thank you for all of those.
I like to keep you humble.
I know, and I stand by every statement in that. Like,
Even the UPS guy?
Even the UPS guy.
How's that going?
You know what? I think we'll be getting each other Christmas presents. Yeah. Ricky's cool. Like, he's a good guy. He's a good guy.
Ricky.
Yeah.
And now for some good news.
Uplifting Way FM, this year's Wally Show with a cavalcade roundup of good news stories because the regular news can be a bit of a bummer. If y'all don't mind, I'm going to start us off here today. Kick her off, if you will. There was a retired Army vet named Kevin. He ran a marathon last week, less than a year and a half after having his left leg amputated. So running a marathon is tough as it is. But then imagine doing it with one leg? Exactly. Well, you say but that's why you're not this man's doctor. How's this for supportive? His surgeon also trained for it and ran with him the whole time.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh, totally. I would have been like, so where can I donate? Let me just donate a little bit.
Where can I sit so I can hold up a poster?
Exactly. Where can I meet you at the finish line? And I'll have a nice cold drink for you?
Yeah, here's some water.
Yeah, but that's a really cool story. Good news, giddy up. Gavin, go.
There was a 7-year-old kid in Michigan that was drowning in a pool. And apparently,
great story.
Apparently, nobody noticed. I
saw the video of this.
Is there not a lifeguard?
Yeah.
Is that, I don't know what's happening here. But then there were 2 other kids that saw him in the pool and they got help. And then his mom had to do CPR. That kid is okay now.
Thank goodness she knew how to do it and stuff, and she jumped into action. But if those other 2 kids hadn't noticed it, it would have been a whole different outcome. And that mom was thankful, and the kids got awards and everything from the city. Like, really good stuff. Good news, giddy up. Betty Rock, go.
There's a woman in Alabama. She works for a trucking company, and she's a recovering addict. But she asked her boss if he would show up at her custody hearing so that she could get the custody of her kids back, and he could testify to help her get her kids back. Instead, he offered to shut down the whole company for a day and have all 70 employees go to the judge and say how
Nice.
great
Oh,
of
wow.
a girl that she is.
Nice. See, I love this, man. We got to believe in second chances. And I know some people squander those and they make bad decisions again, but there are good people that have made mistakes and are trying to make amends. We got to help them. We got to give them that chance. And I love that this guy took his whole company and said, you've worked hard. You've done the work. We support you. And I hope that made a difference and she got her kids back. That's awesome. And that's why we do Good News Giddy Up.
Growing up in poverty has never been easy for children, but with the added challenges of the pandemic, conflict, and natural disasters, families around the world are facing an unprecedented food crisis. Unfortunately, those who are already hungry are now even more desperate. But by sponsoring a child through compassion, you can help provide life-sustaining essentials such as food and clean water. And with your compassionate support, that child can not only survive, but also flourish. You can find out how and choose a child to sponsor when you click on the compassion banner at wayfm.com.
Uplifting Way FM.
If it ain't broke,
It's what your People magazine would sound like with a southern accent.
don't fix it.
It's the Rock Report with Betty Rock.
Who wouldn't love to have a movie written about their life? I know most of us would, especially Wally.
Oh, yeah.
But just because it happens, that doesn't mean you'll be happy with it. I found this list of people whose lives were depicted in a film, but didn't like the results that came from it.
Because the reality is, honestly, like, you have to embellish a little bit on most stories to make them better than they were, you know, to make it have a big movie ending.
But you don't need to embellish too much to make it look like the main character has some bad flaws that maybe they didn't in real life.
Yeah, okay.
So romance fiction writer Nicholas Sparks, he wrote the book Dear John based on the story of his cousin, veteran Todd Vance, and the love story between him and his girlfriend Savannah Curtis. But when Todd, the veteran, read the book and saw the movie, he called it, quote, somewhat true, and even accused Sparks, his cousin, of not consulting him at all.
Oh, well,
Like,
that's weird, yeah.
Very weird. And you would think that's not even, like, that could be a lawsuit.
I would want buy-in from the people I was doing the movie about if it was about them. Like, I would want them to like it. Like the Elvis movie. You would want Lisa Marie, and Scylla to sign off on it.
Well.
Yeah, you don't care about Priscilla.
No. 2010's The Social Network about Mark Zuckerberg, the founder of Facebook. Mark wasn't impressed with the film because his character ended up double-crossing his friends and others working on Facebook.
And he didn't want anyone to know that happened.
Mark, after seeing it, said the movie, quote, made up a bunch of stuff that I found hurtful.
Really? You did? Then why'd you do it? Because I know it was on the movie screen and I believe every second of it.
And then 2009's The Blind Side.
Oh, I love this movie. One of my favorite movies. Who has a problem with this?
So Michael is a black teen who's had a rough go at life until Leanne Toluk.
Tui.
Oh, is it? Is
Her
it
name
Tui?
Leanne Tui.
Oh, okay. And her husband, they take him in and get him into football. While all of those basics are true in the real story, in the film, Michael felt the film made him look dumb.
Oh.
Instead, he said, quote, I was a kid who never had any consistent academic instruction and ended up thriving once I got it.
Interesting, because they did make him look like he was challenged educationally because he was failing and he had to get a good grade to pass enough to play football, and so there was that. But it did show him in a super kind light. Like, the relationship between him and their biological son was great. Like, so it
was
didn't
a
put him
great
in,
movie.
Yeah, it didn't put him in a bad light, but I could see that. You're like, I'm not dumb.
Well, yeah, he said that, but he also said that the movie hurt his career in football.
Really?
That it didn't help it, which I find it hard to believe.
Yeah, I don't know how.
I could understand, like, you're in a locker room full of guys and you're just sitting around there like, oh, look at this guy. He had a movie made about him.
Yeah.
Oh, you're special. Whereas,
Yeah.
like, there are a lot of people who've had similar backgrounds of not having the greatest upbringing who have made it to there but didn't get their own movie.
Yeah, and that's where you just say, well, I'll get you a copy of the DVD.
There you
can
go.
enjoy it at home. Boom! Don't care. I got a movie about me. All right, that's going to do it for your Rock Report. Thank you, Lady Rock. Uplifting Way FM. This is the Wally Show, and Gavin and I are so lucky to have a resident boss queen here on the show so that we can do this segment, because neither he or I are woman enough to do this. And so I'm not. Sorry.
I was so happy for a second there.
I'm sorry. That's my fault.
Because you usually don't. Oh.
I know. Hurt people hurt people.
That's good.
That's on me.
It's all good.
But what we like to do from time to time is celebrate the things that, as women, like you are super proud of for doing. Things that might have gone unnoticed to the rest of the world, but you're like, this is my boss queen moment. So, Lady Rock, do you have one?
I do. So recently, I was pulling out of the station, and I was getting on the main road. And when I did, I heard this...
Uh-oh.
And I'm like, oh my gosh.
Who have I hit?
What have I hit?
Is it Gavin?
Don't look so happy.
But before I freaked out,
yes,
because I could have panicked.
Yeah.
I said, you know what? That sounds like maybe something is stuck underneath the carriage of my car.
Okay.
What I'm going to do is I'm
Who
going
was it?
I'm going to veer off the road and pull over to the side. It was a huge tree branch.
Okay.
But I got on my hands and knees.
Yeah.
And it took me a little bit because it was a big branch.
Yeah.
And I pulled that sucker out of my car.
Nice.
And it ran perfectly fine.
Nicely
no
done.
problems
Okay.
at all.
So boss queen moment was removing it. Less than boss queen moment was hitting it.
But I didn't freak out.
That's right. You didn't freak out, and you solved your own
start
problem.
crying and be like, oh my goodness, somebody help me.
You didn't call a man to help you get the stick
'Cause I
out.
said, you know what? I probably hit a stick.
Yeah,
But it wasn't
exactly.
a stick. It was a branch.
branch.
Like the thing was huge.
Okay, well,
and
you know
it
what?
jumped out right in front of me.
We're going to celebrate you. That is a boss queen
Thank you.
moment. And that's
Thank
what this is
you.
all about. 855-33-WAY-FM. Those things that people might not find as impressive as you do, but you're like, you know what? I am proud of me today for doing this. Boss queen, let's go. Let's hear it. 855-33-WAY-FM is the number. That's 855-33-WAY-FM. What's your boss queen moment, Pam?
When I first went through a divorce, I had zero money, zero everything, and had to do everything on my own. I went to go mow my lawn, and I couldn't start my lawnmower. And it took me 7.5 hours taking out the spark plug, injecting gas, all kinds of things that I was getting instructions over the phone from my brother. And it finally got it 7 hours, but I did it.
There you go. That's scary, like being on your own after being married and the things that maybe your husband used to just, traditionally do, now you have to do. That's awesome that you figured it out. Good for you. That is a boss queen moment.
Yes, thank you.
Well done. And the next time it happens, now you know what to do. You don't even need your brother.
Exactly.
It's good that you figured it out, like how to make the engine run, because that's not easy to do. Small engines are tricky. I thought you were going to say, so I just poured gas on the lawn, lit it on fire, problem solved.
I wanted to a few times throughout the day, but I did not. I persevered.
Well, nicely done. You're an inspiration today, Pam.
Thank you. You guys are every day.
We have a resident boss queen here on the show, Betty Rock, who did what the other day?
I ran over a branch, but that's not the main part. What I did was I didn't realize it. I didn't freak out. I got on my hands and knees, and I pulled that sucker out from under my car.
Now, real quick, there wasn't a person holding that branch when you hit it, was there?
It doesn't matter.
No.
The point is that I pulled out the branch.
All right, Shauna, so Betty Rock is a boss queen. What's yours?
I had a top-load washer, front-load washer, and the computer went out. So I figured it's already dead. I probably can fix it myself. Took it apart, went and bought a new computer at the appliance store, put it all back together. I numbered the wires that go to it, so I knew where to put them back into.
Whoa.
Put it all back together, and it works great.
There you go. That is boss queen. Because a new washer and dryer, a new washer will be $600, $700. And how much did it cost you to fix it? Maybe $100?
$224 for a computer that you could not return. So I either fixed it or I lost the money.
Yeah, there's nothing like that pressure on you either. Like, I fixed my leaf blower the other day, and they were going to tell me it was going to cost all this money. I fixed it for $25. You feel so accomplished when you do that.
Yes.
So I know what it feels like to be a boss queen, and I'm celebrating with you today, Shauna.
Oh, thank you.
What's yours?
I was just shy of 9 months pregnant, and I had taken a 4-hour trip out of town with my husband, but he had to go up ahead of me a couple of hours to be where he needed to be before me. I had just so happened to get a flat tire in the torrential downpour. First, I reached out to him and thought, could he come back? Was he too far ahead of me? He wouldn't have been able to get back to me for about 3 hours. So my second option was to call AAA, and I struggled because we all know how long they take, unfortunately, sometimes. So I ended up pulling over myself and told 3 of my kids to stay in the car. And on the side of the highway, I changed a flat tire almost 9 months pregnant in the rain.
Wow. Okay. Just changing a tire by yourself is a boss queen moment enough. But 9 months pregnant too? I'm surprised you just didn't take care of everything and deliver the baby, yourself as well.
No, I did that at home about 3 weeks later.
Yeah, I can see that.
Oh, my gosh. Well, I hope that your kids always remember that memory because it'll show them how strong their mom is.
When anybody sees a flat tire, they're like, hey, Mom, remember that one time?
Nice.
So it is a great memory.
That is a great memory. Well, you are certainly a boss queen, Brittany. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Tabitha, you're up. What was your boss queen moment?
I was married for almost 8 years to a wonderful man named Michael, and he was my first marriage, first big relationship, and during that time, he always managed our just house finances. I mean, the house payment, utilities, a lot of my credit cards, and unfortunately, I lost him in a big tragedy. He passed suddenly in September, and I was just super proud of myself, able to actually jump in and able to pick up everything, and the house, my car, credit cards, everything, and able to just rock it and hold on, and finally got everything sorted out, paid off a lot of debt, and now I'm just sustaining just real on my own.
Yeah, that's not easy to do, and plus you're then figuring out someone else's system and things like that. Like if my wife were to pass away, I don't know what I would do. I don't even know what my bank account number is,
Now, what would she do if you passed away? Do you think she'd be okay?
If I passed away? Oh, she'd celebrate. She knows where all the money is. She's fine. I'm the one that's struggling. So she'd be great. I completely feel like Nate Bargatze here. Not as funny as him. I know Rock will point that out. But he has this exact same situation with his life.
She runs everything because she knows everything. I don't know any stuff. I don't know how much money we have. Could not even ballpark it. I don't even know where it's at. And I don't even know how to get it if I had to get it. What bank we go to? I don't know. She can't even die. If she starts dying, I'll die so much faster than her. Because I don't know what to do. I don't have to call her mom and be like, hey, did she ever bring up bank stuff to you at all? Did you ever talk about that? Or what did she do for a living? Do you know? Yeah. What was her deal?
Well, that's the end, but it doesn't have to be. Check out our Aftercast. It's new stuff you didn't hear in the podcast. Be sure to rate us on iTunes as well as connect with us on social media. Just search Wally Show. And if you'd like to join our Facebook group made exclusively for you potties, the link is in the description of this podcast. Thanks to Colorado Christian University Online for supporting what we do.